everyone. Welcome to JavaScript Part 3 tutorial for beginners to expert. So today we are going to learn about the functions, how the functions work in JavaScript. So let's get started. So first, what is a function? Function is a block of code that performs a specific task. So let me write it down over here. Let me save this file first as I would say JS underscore functions .js. So this is my file name. So what is a function? A function is a block of code that perform a specific task. So let's take an example. Suppose you need to create a program to create a circle and color. So you can create two functions to solve this problem. Okay, a function to draw the circle, another function is to color the circle. Okay, so dividing a complex problem into smaller chunks make your program easy to understand and reusable. So JavaScript also has a huge number of inbuilt functions. For example, math.square root is a function to calculate the square root of a number. Okay, so math.sqrt, this is a function we have. Okay, so in this video we are going to learn about user defined functions. Okay, so first let's understand function syntax. So if I write the syntax, how I'm going to write it? So if this would be function name and curly braces, and inside this body of function. So this is how we define our functions, right? So the basic rule of naming a function is a function are similar to naming a variable. It is better to write a descriptive name for your function. For example, if a function is used to add two numbers, you could name the function add or add numbers, right? So this is how you have to remember that, right? So let's write a function. So I say my function, this is my function which I have write it. My function name, this is my function name. This is the body of my function. So I'm saying I say hello friends. So this is my function. Now if I have to call this function, use this function, how I'm going to calling my function? So let me write it down. Calling function would be greet, calling in this way. So this is how we call our function. Okay, now let's run it. So how I'm going to run it? Click on this. Okay, let me stop this, which already running it. Okay, let me right same. Because debug comes out here. So over here, let me clear this. Okay, write down node and the function name, which is js underscore function, and I run it. So you can see hello friends. It's showing me hello friends over here, right? Now the next part, let's say we will take example of display a text, right? How we going to display text, which we have already seen it. Now we'll talk about the functions parameters, right? So let me write down over here, or let me create another file and give a name as a function parameters.js. Okay, I'm saving it. So how we are going to use the functions parameters? So let's see the example to that. Okay, so I'm going to create my function. This is my function creating a function named greet. Okay, now in this greet, I'm giving a parameter. This is a parameter, and what I'm saying, I'm writing a block of code over here and saying hello plus name plus right. This is what I'm doing it, right? So this is my code. I have into this. Okay, now I have to call it, right? So let's say I say let name equal to okay, and calling greet, and I'm giving the name over here. Okay, this is what I am giving over here, right? So what it will do, it will run it, because over here what I have done, I have created one variable, or you can say then NAM. I'll give the name and I say NAM over here. Okay, so when it will run, it will call this function, this particular function, and pass the parameter. So let's say, let's run it. We'll say node function, and we'll see hello Shamsher, how are you? So this is how we use the parameters into the function. Okay, so in this example, you have seen the greet function is declared with the name parameter, and the parameter user is getting the number, getting the name which we have given. Then when the function is called, an argument is passed into the function. Okay. So this is the one. Now let's talk further about the function. Okay. So before going further that, we discussed about the function return. Okay, what is a return into that, right? So the return statement can be used to return the value to a function call. The return statement denotes that the function has ended any code after return to not executed. Okay, so let's take an example of that. I'm writing into this only. So I'm creating a function called add, passing a value parameters over here A and B. Okay, and I say return A plus B. Okay, now what I'm going to do, let number 1 equal to 5, and let number 3, number 2 equal to 6. This is what I have given. What I'm going to call, let say let result, this is my another one, and I say add number 1 comma number 2. Okay, so this is what I'm doing it, right? And I say console dot log and result. Okay, and over here I would say the add number is right. So this is what I have done. Now if I run it, no sorry, I run the different one. Okay, let's run it. The add number is 11. See, so this is how the return statement works with it. Okay, so benefit of using a function, let's understand that function makes the code reusable. You can declare it once and use it multiple times. Function makes the program easier as each small task is divided into a function. Function increase readability. Okay, so these are the, now what are the function expressions that needs to understand. In JavaScript, functions can also be defined as as expression. So let me write it down in the same function expressions. Okay, so how we are going to do that? So let's say I have a one x. Okay, I am creating a function. Say num and what I'm going to do, return num and num. Okay, this is and console dot log and printing, right? So this is how we can do, and I would say can be used as variable value for other variables. How? Let's see. So I say let y equal to x3, and I would say console dot log y. Okay. So this is, so what it will be done, log x4, it will print num into num, that means 4 by 4 into 4, and in this case 3 into 3. So run this again and we can see 16 and 9. So this is how the function, we can use the function as an expression. Now let's take some example related to how we can use the functions in a more effective way. Okay, so let me create another file and save it as a function as parameter. So in this case, what we're going to understand, how JavaScript program that will pass a function as a parameter. Okay, so still we are seeing, we are passing parameters into a function and repeat, but how the function will be passed as a parameter. For that, let's create an example. Create a function over here. Function create. This is my function which I am creating. I would say return hello. So this is my function. Okay, now I have to pass it. So for that, I have to create a function first. Function, I give the name of name and passing the arguments like user, and I would say function, right? So this is my argument. Now I would say I create a one constant. I call this a message, and I would say it would be a function. The parameter which we have passed, and what are we going to do? Console dot log, and we are putting value into that dollar curly braces and giving a message comma dollar curly braces and the function name, sorry, the user, right? So this is how what we have done it. Okay, in the log we have created. Okay, this is my function. Basically this is my function. This is the message which I have created. Okay, and over here what I'm doing, console, and this is my message, right? So this is how I've done it. Now let's run it. Name, and I'm passing the value. The first value would be the user. So let's say the user is 80 and T, and function is greet. So this is my function which I'm passing it. Okay, and now let's run it. Checking clearly. Node value name function, and the next one is the name is as parameter.js. Hello AT&T, you can see that, right? So this is how we use our function as a parameter. Okay, now let's take another example of how to JavaScript perform function overloading. Okay, so this is we're going to learn it. See, in programming, function overloading refers to the concept where multiple functions with the same name can have a different implementation. However, in JavaScript, if there are multiple functions with the same name, the function that is defined at the last gets executed. Okay, So the function overloading feature can be implemented in some other ways, right? So we'll see how we can use if else if statement to perform function overloading. Let me open this. I will save it. So let's create a function name as a sum. Okay, now what I'm going to do, let me write down if condition. Okay, and I say arguments dot length equal to 0, then I need to write a console dot log and the statement inside that you have not passed arguments. Okay, this is a simple line I have written. Okay, next I write down into that else if another condition I have to pass arguments dot length equal to 1, then I need to print it console.log into that, and you pass at least 2 arguments. So this is my statement, another statement, and the last statement is else, where I am going to write it let result equal to 0 and let length equal to arguments dot length. Okay, so this is I have written. Okay, now in this I'm going to run a loop. So for that what I need to do, I have to initialize the expression, which is I would say I equal to 0. Condition, I have to give the condition. So condition is I less than length, and update expression would be I plus plus, and this is my block code. Okay. This would be my block code. So in the result equal to result plus argument, and I would say I. Okay, so this is, and after that what I'm going to do is using a console.log into that. Console.log, and I would say result. Okay, so this is I have done it, and let's see why is saying let result number. Okay, so let me save it. Okay, now what I'm going to give sum is 6, then say sum this would be 5 and 6, let's say 5 and 6. So this is what I have given. I saved it. Okay, and now let's run it. Run our code over here. So for that, node functions underscore name, which I have given is overloading. Now run it. So it's saying, it's giving me some error. Let's see where, and okay, is this error because I haven't, yeah. So this is why the errors comes. Now you can see you have not passed argument for the first case. If you have passed at least 2 arguments, and the third one is 11, sum is 11, right? So this is how we use a method overloading or function overloading, which you can say that, right? So this is the one way. There is another way which you can use by using a switch statement, and I would suggest you to take this as an assignment and try it overloading using a switch statement. Okay. So now, so there are different ways to work on it, right? Like if you want to set a timeout for an application, for the pass a parameter to a set timeout function, that we can see also. So let's take example of that also. So let me create another file and save it as, so this is my file. Now I'm creating a function, read, return, I say console, because I don't want to return anything. So I would say, right, so this is my function. Now let's say set time out, right, set time out. I'm not writing anything over here. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, I just say, okay, read and 3000, okay, and now I say console.log this message is shown first, okay, and you will see what would be the results come out. So I say node function set parameter and run it. So you see, have you seen the difference? Because when it's, my this message is shown first, and after, getting some, after some time, my hello viewers will be shown. The reason is because I have given the timeout over here, like 3 second timeout over I have given. So that is why it's displaying this message after 3 seconds, right? After 3000 milliseconds. So this is how you can use set timeout parameter if you require to work on it. Okay, now let's move forward and go for another topic, which is JavaScript variable scope. Okay, in our part 1 of JavaScript, we have already understood about the variables and the constant, but now we will discuss more in detail about the variable. Okay, so what is basically scope? So scope refers to the availability of a variable and functions in certain part of the code. Okay, so let me create a new file, control and so I'll save it as a variable underscore scopes dot js, right? So there are two types. One is global variable, another is local variable. So we'll understand what are the local variables and global variables. So global scope. So a variable declared at the top of a program or outside of function is considered a global scoped variable. So let me write down the definition of it over here. A variable declared at the top of a program or outside of the function is considered as global scope variable. Okay, let's see the example. Okay, and we'll discuss in detail. So let's say let a equal to hello. This is my one of the variable. Now I say function name give the greet, and I will say console dot log and print a over here, and I call greet, right? So this is how I'm going to, and I'm say node. If I run it, you can see hello, right? So in this case, so in this exam, in this program, variable a is declared at the top of a program and is a global variable. It means the variable a can be used anywhere in the program, right? Now we'll see the value of a global variable can be changed inside a function. How? Let's see this example. So over here, let me take another example. See, these files you can find the link or the GitHub repository link in the description box. So you can refer these programs for your learning purpose. So let me add it, change global variable.js. This is my file name. Now I'm going to create a function. Uh, this is the function name which I am creating it. Okay, so this is a function I have created. I say, but before that, I have to pass the function let a equal to, I would say, hello. Right, this is what I have done. But inside my function, what I'm doing, a equal to 3. This is what I have passed. Right, now let's say console.log, when the value of a, I'm going to print it. Okay, now I am calling my function. Right, in this function I'm doing nothing, and I say console.log and passing value a. Okay, and now you can see the difference. So let me run this program. Okay, the value change, right? So if I run it, you can see hello and 3. So the global scope, I have defined the value of a is hello, and within a function I define value is 3. But when I run this, it will take the value which is defined as a hello, and after calling my function, the value is changed, and I can see that the value of a is defined is printed, which I have given inside the function. Okay, so no, there's a one note you should remember. It is good always. It's always good practice to avoid using global variables, because the value of a global variable can change in different areas in the program. It can introduce unknown results in the program. So keep it this in mind whenever you work with the variables. Okay. What about the local scope? Let's see. Okay. So local scope, basically variable can also have defined in, and it can only be accessed within a function. So if uh, I say let, in this program I'll make some changes, and I say let b equal to WRL world. Over here I have given it. Okay, and no, let me run. No, it's not better to change something in this. So let me create another file, and I'm going to save it as a local scope variable.js. Right. So in this, what I'm going to do, I'm giving a global variable over here. Then I'm creating a function called read. Inside this, I am creating another variable which is b, and give the value of over here, and I'm printing over here is console.log and say a plus b. Okay, this is what I have given. And okay, now let's say I'm calling my function greet and say console.log and pass the value a plus b. Right, now we'll see what result will come, and we understand about that, right? So let's say node, and I'm passing the value of local. So you can see hello world, it's printed hello world, but later on console log a plus b, it's error. And why it's error? B is not defined. This is my error. And why this is error? Because b is defined inside my function. So this is a local variable, right? This is a local scope, and this is the reason that outside of this function it cannot be used. So this is how the local work. Okay, now we have seen that we are using a let keyword. What is a let keyword? Okay, so let me create another, and let scope. Okay, Oh, sorry, I have given the name. I need to save it as save as dot. Yes. Now, let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this from here instead of headings. Let me close this also. Okay, so I have pasted it from my previous function, and I say console in this. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I have copied wrong one. So let me change it. Let be equal to world and say console.log. So basically, I'm creating a function to show you how the let is work. Okay. So basically, the let keyword is block scope variable, which basically access only in the immediate block. Remember that part. Okay. How this is going to work? I'll show you in a bit of time. Let me complete this. Okay. So this is what I'm doing now. Console.log, and I would say, let me copy this and paste it over here. Okay, so this is how I'm going to work on it, right? So this is now let's call read function, right? So this is my function. I have given this, so it will be immediately run on this particular block. So I'm going, it will be printed over here. Okay, it will check if b equal to world, then let's see, and we'll see the what would be the result for this line, right? So let me clear this first. Write down node and let us go dot js, right? So you can see hello world. This is printed. This line number 5 is printed. Hello world, hello. This is again printed, right? But if we say console.log, this is not printed. And line number 10 is not printed because C is not defined, right? Not accessible. So this is how we can use the variable uh, keyword as a let. Okay, so this is how it's going to work on it. Now let's, and we have already seen how where we have to use the let and the where word. Okay, now let's talk about another topic, which is a JavaScript hosting. What is a JavaScript hosting? Let's talk about that. So hosting in JavaScript is a behavior in which a function or a variable can be used before declaration. Okay, remember that. So let me give you an example. Like I said, console.log, and I say test, right? This is what I said, but I haven't defined test yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the test over here. Now this is, I have done it, right? Let me run this. So this is how we are going to use hosting into that, right? There's another way. Okay, this is way, and the program which we have just written works, and the output will be undefined. The above, this program behaves as same if I write where test1 console dot log test1, right? So both are the work in a same way. Remember that. So this is the hosting when you are using a variable before declaring it. Okay. So in hosting, though it seems that the declaration has moved up in the program, the actual thing that happens is that the function and variable declarations are added to memory during the compile phase. So this is why it's work in this way, that if we even declare after our using that particular variable, it's a work with the same way, right? So in terms of variables and constant keyword call where is hosted and let and constant does not allow hosting. So let me put it the comment over here. Okay, so the comment is keyword where is hosted but let and const does not allowed, right? So remember this part. So this is how we use hosting. Okay, now let's move forward and we see. Okay, there's one other example. Let me give the example over here for you, okay, to understand. Let me say where a I defined it. I say console print the value of a, and I say a equal to 5. Now let's run it. See, undefined. So only the declaration is moved to the memory in the compile phase. Hence, the value of a variable a is undefined because a is printed without initializing it. Remember, so this is why we in the third output we can see undefined. Okay. So in hosting, the variable declaration is only accessible to the immediate scope. This is, remember that it will be always the accessible to the immediate scope, right? So now let's talk about the function hosting. How the function hosting? Let me create another one. Function hosting. Okay, how this is going to work? Let's say I'm calling my function. This is the function name. Oh, sorry. Okay. Not working this way, right? So let me write down function below first. Okay, function, let's say greet. I'm calling this function dot log. Okay, I write down something, hello everyone, right? But above I'm calling it greet, right? And if I run it, let's run this node function string, and you can see hello everyone, right? So this is, so in this program the function greet is called before declaring it, and the program shows the output. So this is due to hosting. So this is how the functions work, using the hosting. So however, when a function is used as an expression, an error occurs because only declarations are hosted, right? So remember that if you are using an expression and you are using a hosting function hosting, it will give you the error. So how does this thing will be work? So let's say if I say this, a change in this function, let greet, right? So this is how I'm doing an expression, and let me run this again. So you can see I'm getting error, cannot access greet before initializing, right? So this is uncaught reference error which we receive getting over here. So remember that these are some of the points which you have to remember whenever you work on with the function. So this is how we use functions in a different way. Okay, later on when we using the objects and creating some programs to see the function at different functionalities of the JavaScript, we will more explore about the functions, because the function is one of the key aspect of any programming language, which create a small blocks of your complex problems, and which we can solve it, right? So if you like this video, please hit the like button, and for our channel motivation, please subscribe and share, and don't forget to click on bell icon so you can get updates regarding our new videos. Thank you very much.